Hey, how's it going? It's Forgo. I've been going down some rabbit holes like everybody else, and a couple of things I noticed. I think I may have found Tyler Robinson in the crowd. So follow with, and we'll see about that. Now, there's a couple parts of this video I wanted to point out. I guess I'll break it down into a couple things. There's the shoe controversy. There is spotting Tyler Robinson. There is the signal. There is a drone. So that's mostly the points that I'm kind of going to go across here. But so I'm going to start with the shoe conspiracy, which it's kind of weird because it's just a weird thing that I noticed. I don't even know if it's a big deal. But one of the other footage shots had the security guys kind of jumping over a table, and I noticed he had some brown leather shoes. And I only noticed it because I tend to like shoes like that over like white tennis shoes or brown or black shoes. So I thought it was kind of interesting. The guy had, brown leather shoes with tan soles. So that's in one video I noticed that, and then I kind of noticed a couple other security guards had them. So here we are on this video, and just give you an overview of what this video is this channel here, this Life is Driving, basically was walking around the top part of the courtyard area. His son apparently was down towards near the tent. So he's walking around. He's got some kind of get up with his camera gear. He stops over here to talk to these guys about his setup. They were kind of nerding out on his equipment and how cool it was that he got his equipment. So I don't know exactly how it was set up, but he's got a Wi-Fi. He's live streaming. So he's got some kind of setup, and I don't know if he's got a gimbal. It seems like he might have an action camera type of setup in a way. And I only say that because I'll show you the kind of the potential drone at the end here. But it's some kind of an interesting setup that he's got. So he's kind of walking around. He gets good footage of the whole upper area. There's a lot of reflections on that upper area, so you can kind of see both, the windows that he's looking at, and you can see the buildings behind you. And there wasn't really anything that I noticed there. I didn't see any people running to and fro. But then again, this is kind of early, so this is like before a lot of the festivities even started. So this is just before Charlie even arrived to the scene. But it's interesting footage. It kind of gives you an idea. I've got a map, and forgive me, I've got, this is Microsoft Paint. I'm not a pro. I'm just throwing this together because I noticed it. But here's a little map that I made. So I've got a little red dot. That's kind of where our camera perspective is. The teal lines or the, kind of the viewpoint that we're looking at. You can see that I've got tent marked on there. I can't really show you my cursor on this image, but there's a tent there. You kind of know where that part is. There's where the shot was taken across the courtyard on the roof. There's where I think Tyler is, not too far from the camera. There's the red line is kind of the path that I think Tyler took from where we see him in this video to where he would have had to take the shot. The orange line is this escape route. The black line is kind of the path that this camera took to get the perspective that it's where we're at. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but that's kind of like the visual. That's kind of what we've got going on. The red dot is the camera. That's where we're looking from. We're looking out over kind of the crowd on the upper level. So I'll start with the shoe controversy. So the only reason I'm kind of starting here in this part of the video is because this is one of the other guys that I noticed, and as he's kind of walking around the other side of this upper area, you can kind of see that right above where Charlie Kirk was, it's all sealed off. They've got it just kind of blocked off so that nobody could get right above where Charlie was. So this guy's kind of right on the edge of that blocked off area. And you can see that there's a couple of security guards up there that are just kind of, manning their posts. They're just kind of hanging out. And I'm pretty sure that this guy in the green striped shirt in the background over here on this, you can see my cursor hopefully. But this guy in the glasses, balding, he's just kind of talking to some college students over here. But he's got these leather shoes. So I'll pop up just to kind of give you an idea. So this video, here's a guy on the upper floor. He's got these brown leather shoes. Down here, this is an image of the guys taking Charlie to the truck. But as you notice, all of their shoes, they all have these same brown leather shoes for whatever reason. I don't know if it makes a difference. Could be it's a uniform, company uniform thing. The only thought that I have on this that kind of makes me think, it just kind of makes me think it's odd. And one, in that if you've got these kind of undercoverish looking guys, they all stand out because they all have the same shoes. So if you've got somebody who's trying to plan something and they're kind of smart, they can be like, oh, I got a security guard. He's got the same shoes. You don't even really have to look anywhere else if that's what's going on, The other part about that is I'm not a logistic guy, but I'm just looking at this from like an outside point of like, if it was my job to be part of security and I knew that there's a potential that we're going to be involved with a crime scene, whether somebody gets, somebody shoots at us and there's a crime scene and we want to get the evidence to go get the guy, whether our target got hit and we need to get the evidence to go get the guy. You'd think you want to have these guys are usually pros. So I would think that they're thinking variables like Jason Bourne kind of stuff, like, oh, I've got 4 exits over here. I've got, all these variables I want to eliminate to make it the perfect protection team. And the only thing about the shoes that throws me off that I would think is it would almost be the last thing you would want for everybody to have the same soles on their shoes, unless you really kind of you don't really care whether or not, if there's a crime scene, you don't really care we don't really care if Bob moves over here versus Jim moves over here. We don't want to know where these guys moved. If there's blood on the floor and there's, we don't know who tracked the blood if everybody's got the same footprint. It's just a variable to me that seems kind of out of place. Or if you really kind of wanted to muck up a crime scene, you say, oh, okay, everybody wears the same shoes. Everybody wears the same outfit. Everybody's got the same description. You'd think those are the kind of things you'd think about if you were trying to mess up the scene, not, I don't know, maybe it's too much. But that's kind of my thought, is why have all the same soles on your shoes if you've got a potential of you want to know where everybody was at any given time on a crime scene. So it's an odd thing, but could be nothing. That's the shoe controversy. There it is. So just something I noticed. So we're done with the shoes. So here we are at the top of the thing. And we basically got at 9:09 is when this shot goes off. So we're sitting here. This is 9:11. They just turned around because the shot went off. So at 9:09, the shot went off, which is apparently it's 12:23 p.m., according to the timeline of the official story. So if we determine that and we go back to this where I think Tyler is. So here we are at this point here, which is 11:17 in the video. So if it's 19:19, it's around 6 minutes and 46 seconds difference between when the shot was fired to where we're at right now. And basically, if we're looking across the courtyard, bring my little map back up. So we've got the red dot, we've got the kind of teal triangle there of where the field view is, and then where I have it marked Tyler is right across the way there. So we're looking between these two guys, or between this girl basically in the background and this guy with the kind of frazzled hair here with the earring and the mustache. So this dude and the girl, and then there's the corner on the back side over here.
Yeah, I'm streaming right now.
So we're looking in this area over here, okay? So he pans over here, he comes back over, and what do we see? We see this guy pop into the frame. So that's what I'm thinking is Tyler Robinson. We've got the guy, according to the sources, the original description was maroon t-shirt, light colored shorts, black hat, white logo, light colored shoes, and then that was at 8:29 a.m. according to the sources. And then they say he changed his clothes between 12 and 12:23 into a black shirt, dark pants, dark sunglasses, and black hat. And then within 7 minutes after the shooting, he changes back into a maroon shirt and a black hat. So anyway, that's the description that they give us, is that he was in a maroon shirt before approximately 12 to 12:23. At this point in time, it's 12:15 and 18 seconds. So we've got this guy in the background over here, and he's matching. He's got the maroon shirt, black hat, black backpack, and you see he's standing there, and he's got a phone in his hand. He's looking down at the phone. He's got something in his hand along the ledge there. So we'll go ahead and play it.
Wow. It's my own.
And he's looking down at his phone.
Those professional ones cost like $5
He takes a look to his left in a second here. Looks down at his phone, almost like he's looking at a map or maybe a text. But, you know, at 12:15, he should, if it's a text, they would have a record of a text at 12:15.
The receiver.
Otherwise, he might be looking at, you know, it almost looks to me like I need to be over there. And then he looks down at his map, and then he looks over to the other side. And then when he lifts his hand, he's got this towel in his hand or a sweatshirt or something. But he's the only guy in the crowd that I saw in this whole video that has a black backpack, a black hat with a maroon shirt, and some kind of fabric in his hand. And it doesn't look like it's a rifle. It doesn't look like it's, you know, straight or anything like that. It looks like fabric. So as you can see, he just kind of walks off and he goes out of frame, and that's about the last we see of him. But there's this guy that's sitting right over here. He's not interested in anything at all. He's, you know, I don't know what he's doing. You know, it could be nothing. But I do find it kind of strange that, you know, what I think is the suspect stands right here. He puts his hand right about here for whatever reason. Maybe, I don't know. But, you know, it could be he leaves a coin or something. But we'll see here in a second why it's just odd to me that this guy stands up, and I'll kind of show you his little hand signal. So here he is. He's getting up. So we've got him behind this dude's head. So he's standing right there, and he's at the same spot, and he's kind of looking down at the tent at this point, and maybe he's just checking it out, you know? I don't know if that's a vest. I don't know. You know, is he a security guy too? But he puts something in his pocket right here. It's almost like he grabs something right where what I think is a suspect had his hand and his fleece jacket or whatever he had in his hand. That's where his hand was. Is like right where this guy is grabbing something and putting it in his pocket. And then he just kind of taps the bar and walks off. And that's the only thing he does. He just gets to the edge there, kind of touches or maybe grabs something off the ledge, makes some kind of a hand motion or some kind of a signal, turns around, and then that's basically all we see of that dude. So I don't know what that was all about. You know, was that like kind of a meeting place to where they're like, you know, I saw the guy, he went to where we wanted him to go. Here's your hand signal. We're a go. You know, we're going to, you know, I don't know. You know, there's other guys talking about hand signals in the tent right before the shooting. So who knows? If there is some kind of thing, you know, you've got all these security guys that have tan shoes and they're making hand signals, or maybe it's just all coincidences, you know? So yeah, that's what that is. So yeah, that's where I think he is. There's not much else that I see in the video other than, you know, we get here. That's where we figure what the time was. Now the only other thing that's kind of odd about this part of it is that you see that he's on this top here. So he's panning over to the other side now. You can see where he's at. There's the tent. He's looking over this edge that's all blocked off. So he was right at the edge of the security line there. And somewhere in this crowd, you've got that George Zimmerman guy making or whatever his name was, making some kind of distraction of I shot him. You've got this dude over here celebrating it, saying, yeah, good job. So we've got two people making distractions over here in the field. And then my thought is we see Tyler Robinson, or what I think is Tyler Robinson, at 12:15. And then this red line is kind of like, if he goes off in that direction, he kind of has to come through these buildings and come back around the other back building and get up onto the building to make a shot. So it's kind of like right over, kind of where these guys are. The shot is made somewhere like right here. That's where the building, the edge of the building on the other side of that courtyard is somewhere around here. So he pans through. So he pans through, and the only thing I can think of is he's got 8 minutes to get from here, change his clothes apparently, and get up onto the roof. Now there was a Stephen Gardner guy that did a kind of a walk through the campus after the fact, and it was an interesting kind of point of view of like just kind of the layout, almost like this video, but it was nobody was around. You know, he was just kind of walking, showing this is where this was, this is where this was. But let me see here. I'll show it here in a second. In fact, kind of going back to the camera setup. I don't know what kind of camera setup this guy has. I tend to think that he might have kind of an action camera kind of setup thing going on. I don't know if that's the case, because if you notice here, he's looking out over the thing, and his camera's going to pan to the left. And it's panning to the left, and I don't know if he caught it in his eye or if the camera caught it and started doing like an automatic pan to the right. But let me take off this map thing. So we've got this. Let me bring this down a little bit so you can see it. So he's looking over the side here, and I want you to kind of look at like right above this building over here.
Good, how are you doing? Were you able to see anything?
His camera's going to pan, and there's going to be something in the sky up here. And I don't know, there's a lot of people talking about there were drones, or there's some people that were talking about there were drones.
Holy shit, Charlie got shot in the neck is what my kid is saying.
Your kid saying Charlie?
Yeah.
It could be a bird, you know, something like that.
My son is down there.
But you'll see that his camera
Charlie Kirk has
pans.
been shot in the
And let's
neck.
see if I catch it.
This is unconfirmed. This is from my son who
It's
was
not
down
right
there in
there.
front of Charlie Kirk. We're going to go down there and see if we can get...
Wait a minute. How do we miss it? Oh, it's like, yeah, it's like right here. Okay. So, so he's looking over the edge. There's all these people in the crowd. Right above this building here, you'll see something come in.
There's been a shooting. We heard shots. We heard shots.
And right when his camera pans to the left, look up in this area of the sky. I'll try to pause it on it. I don't know if you saw that there, but right when he panned, if we can scrub past, get it right there. Let me see if I can catch it again. Let's do the slow, super slow speed. So we'll go, yeah, we'll do that. There we go. And I'll turn all this shit off because we don't need to hear all the... Okay, so we're looking up here, and this is the slow-mo. Something's flying through there. And I don't know what that is, but it's flying through there. Go back. There we go. So you can see it right, kind of like there it is in the middle. There it is, you know, like, I don't know what it is, but it kind of looks like it might be a drone. I don't know if I subscribe to the drone theory, but there it is. It's at 1940 in this video is where this potential drone is. Now, while we're here on this is kind of what I wanted to go over on the. You see these stairs in the way back here. That video that Stephen Gardner put out was kind of like walking up these stairs to show how he got up on the roof. The crazy thing about it is if you look across this courtyard here and there's these people standing over here, it's almost like if this was the roof, all you had to do was like walk across these, you get on the ledge and then you jump over, you just put your legs over like a railing like this. There's no, he didn't have to climb a fence. He didn't have to scale a wall. There was no, climbing up a drain pipe to get to his sniper nest. It's just basically you get up to the top of the stairs there, and there's another row of stairs there. And I'll kind of show my map here. But these are kind of like the stairs are over here where the shot was taken from here. But it's like you walk onto the roof from this south side, basically. But the thing that I don't really understand is if you walk onto the roof from that side, like what would be the purpose of like going to run off the edge of the building? There really isn't any reason to run off the edge of the building unless you're pulling one of the moves that the other guys were pulling, where they're like he got a text message to say, "Hey, go distract these guys, go jump off the building, and they'll think that it's you, and then it'll be funny." Or I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me that if you've got like a shorter path to just walk over a railing and walk down the stairs and then you're already on your path to freedom, there is nobody over here. I don't really see why he would be afraid to do that, or why that would not have been his first course of action to just go the way he came. It doesn't make sense, because then you're running behind this glass building at the top of this other building, and then you're forcing yourself to jump off the edge of a building, potentially with a gun. It just doesn't make sense unless you're being told. And it almost seems to me like over here in this part of it, it almost seems to me like it is. Do some slow-mo here, but you can see him. He'll pop up like right here. It almost seems to me like he's getting a text message. And someone's telling him, because he's on the phone right now, and then he starts looking down at his phone. So he's looking down at his phone, and he's over here in this little. So we'll go back to this, and we'll do slow motion. So he's here. He's looking down at his phone. He's looking down at the courtyard. He's looking down at his phone. This guy's head moves out of the way. He's looking down at his phone. He's kind of looking around a little bit, almost like he's trying to get his bearings. I don't know if that's the case. Or maybe he's getting a message of like, hey, we're going to be distracting people because we're going to pull off, a big joke on these people. So be ready. I don't know what to think, but this definitely looks like it could be him. That's what I'm thinking, is this is the guy. He matches the description. He has something in his hand that looks like a towel or something. He looks to his left, looks down at his phone like he's trying to get bearing on where he's at, looks down at the tent, looks back over to his left, kind of like, okay, well, I got to be over there to make the shot. Or maybe I just got to be over there to make the distraction. And where do I need to go from here? I need to go around this way to go change my clothes. And then he grabs his towel and he walks off. And that's what I see. I see the guy with matching description with the towel walking off. But I don't see a gun. But at least we have at 12:15, that would put this at 12:15. We know where he was at, and there was 8 minutes between that and the shot. So it gives him 8 minutes to go change his clothes real quick so that he can go change them right back again for whatever reason. But that gives him 8 minutes to go get up on the roof and change his clothes, which is feasible considering the map. I mean, I think that might be plenty of time. It might be pushing it a little bit if you got held up or something like that and you're on a timeline. I don't know. But maybe he wasn't on a timeline. Maybe that's just when he got there. But the whole thing doesn't really make sense to me. So, like a lot of people, there's a lot of holes in this story. The crime scene was a mess. You know, you've got all these guys wearing the same shoes. You've got theories of guys with guns in their armpits. You've got theories of guys with palm guns. You've got theories of guys with exploding microphones. You've got theories of people with drones. You've got theories of people with what are the other theories? Oh yeah, the funniest one. I mean, I like kind of what Candace is doing. She's very thorough, and I like her zest for it all. But some of her thinking is a little comical. You know, it's like that trap door. You know, it's an amphitheater, so you got to think logically and think, okay, what does an amphitheater got to have? If you got people that are speaking there like Charlie Kirk just was, you got to have some audio visual. You've got grass around there. You got to have some kind of irrigation system. You know, so you got to think about the first little like door that you see. You can't start thinking, oh, it's a trap door, and we're gonna, you know, maybe that's where they stuffed him down a trap door and they evacuated his body that way. I mean, that was a stretch, you know. You know, people, we're all making stretches, but that one was funny to me because, you know, realistically, it's a audiovisual cable box or, you know, potentially sprinklers, irrigation, and, you know, in the aftermath where everybody's saying they're repaving everything. It's like, no, they're going to have that kind of infrastructure at a amphitheater like that. It's just, you're going to have places to plug speakers in, and you don't want to be running cables halfway across the courtyard, you know. So some of the theories are definitely entertaining on where people go on their, you know, between the vest, no vest, microphone, no microphone, earpiece, no earpiece. I don't know. It's interesting where people go. I mean, I don't have any ill favor for anybody that's coming up with or trying to figure it out. It seems like more people are trying to figure out more than the authorities themselves, which is kind of really depressing if you think about it. You'd think that they'd be on top of this shit because that's their job, but it doesn't seem like it. So anyway, that's my take on it. I hope you thought it was all right or whatever. Yeah, hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching.